Hello and welcome to Question Hour, the program which we bring you from inside the Parliament House complex with some important questions asked by the members of Parliament and responded to by the government in the previous session. I'm Vishal Dahiya and with me is my colleague Kruti Mishra.
Thank you so much, Vishal. So let's take our viewers through important questions and answers that we've picked up for them in this session of Question Hour. And the first question that we've picked up is from member Vikas Mahatme pertaining to the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers' Welfare. And Mr. Mahatme has asked about the status of doubling of farmers' income scheme.
Well, the Ministry of Agriculture has given a detailed answer to this question, and it says that the government had constituted an interministerial committee in April 2016 to examine issues relating to doubling of farmers' income and recommended strategies to achieve the same. The committee has submitted the report to the government in September 2018, and the Committee on Doubling Farmers' Income, that is DFI, recognizes agriculture as a value-led enterprise and has identified 7 major sources of growth, that is improvement in crop productivity, improvement in livestock productivity, resource use efficiency or savings in the cost of production, increase in the cropping intensity, diversification towards high-value crops, improvement in real prices received by farmers, and shift from farm to non-farm occupations. The ministry further says that agriculture being a state subject, the state governments undertake development of perspective plans and ensure effective implementation of the programs or schemes. The Government of India supplements the efforts of the state governments through various schemes and programs as well. The subject related to land and its management falls within the jurisdiction of states as per entry 18 of the list 2 of state list of the 7th schedule of the Constitution. The role of the central government in the field of land reforms is only of an advisory nature. Further, it is also the endeavour of the government to increase productivity and resource use efficiency so as to make agriculture more sustainable. The next one is also to the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers' Welfare, and this one comes in from member Sanjay Raut, who wants to know from the government whether large number of farmers have sowed genetically modified, that is GM, herbicide-tolerant cotton seeds on their farmland despite ban, and nearly 11 lakh hectares of land is already under cultivation using HT cotton seeds in the state of Maharashtra.
In the response, the government says that as per the information received by the state government of Maharashtra, no cases of illegal cultivation of genetically modified herbicide-tolerant HT cotton have come to notice. However, some cases of sale of illegal BT cotton seeds have been reported in the districts of Nagpur, Chandrapur, Prabhani, Yavatmal, Bhandara and Gadchiroli of Maharashtra during this season. These seeds have been seized by the state authorities. The government further says that there was a report in the press that Shetkari Sangatna is advocating free access to the latest technology in farming, including genetically modified seeds in the country. The government is committed to spread awareness regarding use of approved technology of seeds only. Moving on to the next question asked by member A. Vijay Kumar to the Ministry of Communications, and Mr. Kumar has asked about the number of proposals received for issuing postal stamps from the state of Tamil Nadu.
Well, the response from the government to this question is in affirmative, and it says that the department has received 21 proposals for issue of commemorative postage stamps from Tamil Nadu since the last meeting of Philatelic Advisory Committee, which was held on 28th of November 2016. 168 proposals for issue of special covers have been received by Tamil Nadu Circle from 2016 till date. The proposals for issue of commemorative postage stamps are considered on the basis of extant guidelines by the Philatelic Advisory Committee in its meeting. The last meeting of the PAC was held on 28th of November 2016. Of the 21 proposals received for issue of commemorative postage stamps since the last meeting of Philatelic Advisory Committee in respect of Tamil Nadu, 7 proposals were approved and accordingly 7 stamps have already been issued on various states. It is further submitted that 3 proposals for issue of commemorative postage stamps have not been accepted as these were not conforming to the guidelines for issue of stamps. Remaining 11 proposals shall be placed before the PAC in its next meeting for consideration. All the 168 proposals for issue of special covers in respect of Tamil Nadu have been approved, and special covers have been released accordingly in 2016, 2017, 2018 and 2019. The next question is also addressed to the Ministry of Communications, and this one comes in from member Sanjay Raut, who wants to know whether any high-level committee on 5G has asked to go for 5G trials immediately, with all opposed to include Chinese vendors due to security reasons.
An interministerial high-level forum for 5G India 2020 was constituted in September 2017 to articulate the vision for 5G in India and to recommend policy initiatives and action plans to realize this vision. The high-level forum submitted its report titled Making India 5G Ready in August 2018. Based on the report, the government is creating an enabling framework for deployment of affordable and secure 5G services in India. A subcommittee on 5G and technology trials, having representatives from relevant departments and ministries, has been thereafter constituted under the chairmanship of Principal Scientific Advisor to give recommendations on various issues, including security relating to 5G and technology trials in India. Let's move on to the next question asked by member GC Chandrasekhar, and this one is to the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. And Mr. Chandrasekhar has asked about the steps taken by the government to ensure timely supply and adequate quantity and quality fertilizers to the farming community at reasonable prices.
Well, in its response, the ministry has listed the steps taken by government to ensure timely supply of fertilizers to farmers of the country. And it says that before the commencement of each cropping season, Department of Agriculture, Cooperation and Farmers Welfare, in consultation with the state governments, assess the requirements of fertilizers. After assessment of requirement, DAC and FW projects month-wise requirement of fertilizers. And on the basis of month-wise and state-wise projection given by DAC and FW, Department of Fertilizer allocates sufficient adequate quantities of fertilizers to state by issuing monthly supply plan and continuously monitors the availability through the following system. The movement of all major subsidized fertilizers is being monitored throughout the country by an online web-based monitoring system called Integrated Fertilizer Monitoring System. The state governments are regularly advised to coordinate with manufacturers and importers of fertilizers for streamlining supplies through timely placement of indents for railway rakes through their state institutional agencies like Markfed, etc. Regular weekly video conference is conducted jointly by Department of Agriculture and Cooperation and Farmers Welfare, that is DAC and FW, Department of Fertilizer and Ministry of Railways, with state agriculture officials, and corrective action are taken to dispatch fertilizer as indicated by the state governments. Now, the gap between demand, that is requirement, and production is met through imports. The import for the season is also finalized well in advance to ensure timely availability, and thus with these steps, Department of Fertilizers ensure availability of fertilizers at the state level, and the distribution to the farmers within the state is the responsibility of the respective state governments. Further, the state governments have been adequately empowered to ensure selling of fertilizers at MRP at reasonable rates. Well, the next one is also to the Ministry of Chemical and Fertilizers, and this one comes in from member Banda Prakash, who wants to know from the government whether it has proposed dramatic changes to regulations that keep a check on prices of medicines and medical devices to prevent profiteering and deliver affordable health care to patients.
In the reply, the government says that the National Pharmaceutical Pricing Policy NPPP 2012 was notified on 7th of December 2012 with the objective to put in place a regulatory framework for pricing of drugs so as to ensure availability of required medicines or essential medicines at reasonable prices, even while providing sufficient opportunity for innovation and competition to support the growth of pharma industry, thereby meeting the goals of employment and shared economic well-being for all. Subsequent to this, Drug Price Control Order 2013 was notified to implement the objectives outlined in the National Pharmaceuticals Pricing Policy 2012. The DPCO contains adequate provisions to control the prices of essential medicines in the country. Whenever some difficulty arises, these provisions are amended, keeping in view the interest of the patients. And let's move on to the last question asked by member Rajkumar Dhoot, and this one is to the Ministry of Law and Justice. And Mr. Dhoot has asked whether it is a fact that Prime Minister has recently called a meeting of the heads of political parties to discuss the issue of one nation, one poll to push forward the elections to the Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies simultaneously.
Well, the government in its response says that a meeting was convened by the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs with the presence of all political parties on 19th of June 2019, wherein among other subjects the issue of one country, one election was also discussed. Honourable Prime Minister was present during the meeting. While some of the political parties supported the proposition, a few others wanted the issue to be discussed further and examined more carefully. Shukri, that's all we have for our viewers in this segment of Question Hour.
That's right, Vishal, but on the other side, Prashn Kal in Hindi with our colleagues Arvind Singh and Preeti Singh. Stay tuned.